Right, so today I'm just gonna talk about how I used ChatGPT to help me make this render, and I'll also cover like how I made some of the assets in the render. But I really just wanted to show you guys how I used it to help me come up with like an idea I can get going with. All right, so I have ChatGPT open here, and I'm just going to show exactly like what my approach was to getting a concept to work with. I already generated some of these like images here of some of the props and stuff that I wanted in the render, and like I had some like whole concepts sort of just. I just sort of asked it to make me something, and it came up with this, and I sort of liked the idea, so I asked it to build more on it, and it came up with something like this. So I was like, all right, this is actually something similar to what I had in the final render. So I just asked it to start building more onto this, and it generated some more of these variations. I even like sometimes would ask it to change the creature, but I eventually like I ended up making my own. I didn't really follow along with what it provided me. And then I'm asking it to like make some variation in like the color values of everything, like how bright some spots are. And this was also just kind of to just test out like how it handles these types of prompts. And yeah, then I was just asking it to like make variations of this pillar right here, so it made some. And this is like pretty good to use as like a reference for modeling, isn't it? Like you could just have this open in Blender like as an image plane, and then you can just trace around it and eventually make a shape. Yeah, not sure why this isn't loading in, but yeah, anyway, I just started asking for more variations. And then, like I was asking for some designs of what the floor might look like. And then just some references for like smaller props. Obviously, you could also find these in Google, but like I was already here anyway. I was like, might as well. But yeah, like something more real, like a real life example, would probably be better. So you could probably just find that off Google Images for stuff like this. And then I was asking for some like variants of the angel statue you see in the back. I was just trying to ask for different poses, different clothing, maybe. Yeah, and then I tried asking it to like change the camera angle, but honestly, like around here, it started to like break apart, kind of. But yeah, I mean, you basically get the point. Like, you don't really have to replace yourself with this, but like, it's good to sort of experiment and like get something solid. And instead of having to like do a lot of blocking out and like experimenting, like that could take a lot more time. So I just thought this would sort of reduce that time, and you could probably get something to get you started on your project. All right, so I'm in the Blender file now, and as you can see, this is kind of like a mess, really. So I'll try to break down exactly how I went about it. So for like the rocks, first of all I really did was use like basic meshes, like spheres or cubes, and pretty much just sculpted on them, like how I explained in that rock video I made. And after that, like I think this was my first step actually. When I first made these stalagmites, and then I did the pillars and all these like architectural components. And like you could see, they're pretty similar to like what was in the ChatGPT image. And then most of my time actually was spent making this bird character, and also some of the mages that you saw. I didn't show them here because like I would run out of VRAM or Blender would just crash. That's also why I have like a minimized view of the render. But what else? Yeah, so after like I did the rocks, I pretty much just started blocking out like then these like assets. and started to like place them in something similar to what was in the AI concept. And then I also sculpted this statue in ZBrush. And then once I imported her in, like I added this sort of like arch and like these stairs leading up to her. And I feel like it does sort of like make some nice framing in the final render. And then I also just made these quick little candle assets. Like I just used a cylinder and I pretty much just like sculpted some random like wax dripping down, and then I decimated it, of course, because there's just no way you need to have like, super high poly candles in your scene. But like in a while, I'll also show you guys how I made some of these assets. Like I'll cover how I did these. And I could also cover how I textured the pillars, because like I've already covered how to model pillars beforehand in like one of my previous videos. So I'll also explain like all these lights. It was mostly just to like capture some ambient light that you would see in a cave, sort of. So everything is in the back isn't just completely black. Like there's some green glow and stuff going on. And then obviously you have like a strong purple light source like above the bird, and like these planes that I made, they just have like distorted space images on them. Actually, not even distorted. Like I just actually projected the images as they were, but I distorted the planes to like sort of have that effect. Like maybe if you've seen a black hole or like a picture of a black hole, like you'll see light distorting around it. So like I wanted to make the portal that the bird's coming out of. I sort of wanted to have that effect around it. Yeah, but anyway, I'll cover now how I did the with these stalagmites. Alright, I'm in a new Blender scene now, and I'll just show you guys how I made the stalagmites. So I'm gonna add a cube, and I'll give it a remesh modifier. And yeah, make sure it's set to voxel, and you want to increase the voxel size, and also increase the adaptivity slightly. Now, if you go into edit mode, you can actually just scale this down in here, like on any axis. It really depends on what shape you want, but you just think of this as like blocking out the shape of your like rock formation. So I'll scale this up on the z-axis, and then what you want to do is stay in edit mode and start duplicating your cube around. And you can move it like up and down to add some variety, but let's actually go out of edit mode to see what it looks like. So you're kind of probably guessing where I'm going with this, but like it adds like sort of like a variety. It's almost as if you're kind of sculpting, but like like let's say if we just had a bunch of these cubes as separate meshes, and then we combine them together and like in sculpting mode we hit remesh. That's basically what it would give you, but you're just kind of doing this from like a modeling point of view. If that makes sense. But yeah, like I just find this like much easier to block out with. And you can also just tweak the remesh modifier to get like a shape you want. Right now I feel like it's a bit too blocky, so I'm going to tweak the settings a bit. So I got something like this. And once I have like a few of them like clustered together like this, I'll just take everything and duplicate it. And I'll try like moving it around. And then you can even like scale these like that. It's a bit too big. Yeah, like this is like more of a base shape what we want, and then we'll take this. You can just duplicate everything, scale it down, put it like that. like and then like really quickly, you could get something to work with, and then you could sculpt on it. So I'm just gonna sort of like speed through this real quick and like get like a shape to work with. Okay, so I think this is like a decent base to work with now. So I'm just gonna go into the sculpting window, and I'm gonna turn on Dine Topo. I'll set this to like maybe 6. Oh, sorry. Before we go in there, you want to apply this remesh modifier and then apply the scale as well, so that like when you're sculpting on this, your brush strokes aren't distorted. So I'll re-enable this, and I'll start sculpting. Look, the key with these is to just sort of make them look lumpy in a way because of the way they're formed. Like after like minerals, I'll keep depositing on them over time. So more so have this like very lumpy look to them. Like yeah, you just want to kind of keep this shape right here. And also, like if you at some point want to add like another pointy bit, you could always just use the snake hook brush. You do want to be wary of the direction that you're facing, because like sometimes it won't go straight down. Now I'm just gonna use a draw brush and like invert it, and I'm just gonna like try to separate out like each spike a bit more, and then I'm just gonna add some more bumps to sort of build upon that like crevice that I've made there. And then I'm just gonna use the snake hook again here. Yeah, it looks fine. And now I'm gonna come in with the scrape brush, and like I mentioned in that last video where I sculpted the rocks, you wanna, what do you call it? You wanna set the first of all strength to 1, and then you wanna set the fall off about where it is. Yeah, here, fall off to constant. Right here, it might even be a good idea to maybe decrease this even more. Maybe you could set it to 5. Yeah, I mean, so like I'm just doing like a little demo here. I'm not gonna sculpt on this entire thing, but this is just to show you like how exactly I went about making the stalagmites. But and then yeah, pretty much after like let's say you've sculpted the whole thing, all I'd really do is just add a decimate modifier and like just take it down a notch, then shade smooth. And then eventually, like, you know, you put your rock texture or whatever on this. Okay, so I'm pretty much gonna show you guys now how I did this pillar right here, more so how I textured it. So I pretty much just made this trim sheet in Blender, like all these ornaments. I just sort of arrayed them in front of a plane, and then I took that into Substance and I baked down all those details onto this. I'm not gonna like show the whole process in this because it would be like sort of its own video. So I could do that in the future actually, but I'm more so just showing how I would like then UV these. Like basically once you have this set up, since these are all tiling, like if you see all these like trim pieces like this one, you could pretty much select an edge loop, and you could even cube project it, I'd say, or you could just like unwrap it following this quad, and it'll unwrap like in it'll pretty much like unwrap as a rectangle, like the entire edge loop, and you could just scale it and make it keep going. Like to show you right now, it has this pattern on it, but I could even just move this here. Then I can scale it down on the x-axis so it matches this. Yeah, now it has like this trim on it. So yeah, this is like a pretty neat way to add some like detail onto your models. Yeah, and even like for something like this, like these like central faces, I pretty much just made these like separately in ZBrush, like I sculpted them, and then I also baked them down onto the plane. I could even just, if I wanted it to be the bird head on that piece, I could just move the face here and like adjust it according to the trim I have there. Of course, like things will get distorted, so you kind of have to keep that in mind and like make your trim sheets according to like the models you have already. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys how I textured these. And then I pretty much just rendered it out and took it into Photoshop. And like this is the final render right here after like all the post processing and all that. I can maybe walk you guys through some of the stuff I did. So here pretty much like this was I think the base render out of Blender, along with like I have painted in some fog and stuff already here. So, but pretty much like what I usually do most of the time to capture the main area better is I'll just like duplicate the layer and like I'll give it some like sharpness and stuff like that, and then I'll just mask it out and make sure like it's only being applied in the main like focus that I want. That makes sense. And like then I'll just increase like the opacity and stuff so that it's not super sharp and like hard to look at. These aren't like that important, it's mostly just like image bashing, but then I'm gonna show you guys this. So yeah, I often do this as well, like based on where I want like the darker areas to be, because like if I hide this, then like this still looks kind of fine, but I just felt like I needed some more like contrast, some like more darker areas, so like so that everything isn't super bright and distracting. And then you see me do that here as well. Oh, sorry, no. This was in fact like some green fog I added. Yeah, like I basically just used a soft brush and then like smudged it in and played with the blend mode and the opacity. And this is another green multiply layer. Like I wanted to make everything like on the corners and stuff and on the edges. I wanted that to be like more darker, and also I just wanted to bring in the green color more into the render. Oh yeah, that's why I did that. And then this is just me doing some slight highlights and all the way in the back, to make the ambient light believable. But yeah, nothing too bright, so that's not super distracting. And this is just like some small like particle effect I did just to add more onto everything that's already here. Yeah, this is me doing the multiply layer again. I guess it's also sort of like a vignette, but I just sort of painted it in. And I'm adding some glow right here. Okay, yeah, this layer I sort of just duplicated the whole image again. Like I merged everything into a layer, duplicated it, and I gave it like this oil paint filter, but like I just barely painted it back in like some areas. Like if I hide it and unhide, you could see like it's a bit on the background and like somewhat on the bird's face. I just thought it would make everything look a bit more smooth. Honestly, I can't tell what this. I think this is just the duplicated image. And then, yeah, I added some more darkness and some spots in the foreground. Yeah, and then yeah, that was basically the full render. And then I did a desaturated version, and then I added more contrast. But yeah, that's basically all I really did for this render. Yeah, I do wish that I could go more in depth, but unfortunately, I did lose a lot of my project files because I had gotten some malware and I had to reset my C drive. So yeah, I also lost a lot of footage. So but I'll try to make sure that the next videos aren't this like rushed, and I can actually have some footage of me working on stuff. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Thank you.